So yes, now you're getting an updated weekly power rankings. Weekly recap. This week, no. Not enough time, not enough desire. Sorry, this one's easier to compile, easier to record, and takes less time for me to record and for you to watch. Beneficial for everybody, isn't it? Alright, anyways, you can check out my power rankings, 32 all the way up to number 1 in the description box below. We'll talk about the bottom 5 first. When you look at it, I had trouble kind of figuring out who I really put in that worst spot because, yes, the Raiders and the 49ers won last week, but they're still 3-win teams, and they still absolutely suck. But I felt like it probably had to be the Cardinals. Like, when you look at them, it feels like they've got the least. And it's just, yeah, not good. You really, 30, 31, 32 on this list, it really doesn't matter. You could have them be interchangeable. You know, they're the 3 teams banging it out for the number 1 overall pick in next year's draft. They belong there. They're clearly the 3 worst teams. Although the Jacksonville Jaguars still 4-9. They suck. They fell off a cliff this year. I'd be surprised if Doug Marrone kept his job. I'd be really surprised if General Manager David Caldwell kept his job because he's ultimately the clown that invested heavily in Blake Bortles. And if you invest heavily in Blake Bortles, that bubble's eventually going to burst. And when it does, you'll wish the Atlantic Ocean had sucked your ass up. Because you're stupid. It was validated as such. Blake Bortles facts. Blake Bortles fact number 1. He absolutely sucks. What other fact do you need? Stick it. Who else is really bad? Well, the Bills are bad, but they're not the worst team in the league. Josh Allen's tearing things up with his legs. Would like to see him do it a little bit more with his arm, but hey, what are you going to do? And frankly, from an accuracy standpoint, as easy as it is to knock a Josh Allen, it's not like any of the rookie quarterbacks are really exactly lighting the world on fire from an accuracy point of view. Let's just call it as it is. The Jets won last week, beating the Bills barely, but they still suck too, as do the Lions and the Falcons, all really, really bad teams. When you look at the higher end of the spectrum, though, and you look at what's going on, that loss by Pittsburgh is the second straight week they've lost to a bad team. It feels like I could have dropped them even lower down the rankings, but I put them there at 12 because they're still 7-5-1. Can't totally give up on them just yet. Maybe if they lose to the Patriots on Sunday afternoon, that might be the time to officially write them off because then the next week they got to travel to New Orleans to take on the Saints. But for now, I got them at number 12. Feels like they belong lower, but that's where they're at. I look at like the Ravens, they're at number 10. Yes, they lost to the Chiefs, but it was a road game, rookie quarterback, went to overtime. That's a pretty high quality of loss, and if you're looking at it right now and handicapping things, it sure feels like the Ravens are going to win that division, doesn't it? Unless the Steelers do something miraculous and they win their last 3 games. It feels like the Ravens, it's going to be a coronation of them, is what it really feels like. The Seahawks at number 9, what a really good story. 8-5 now. Who the hell would have thought the Seahawks would be 8-5? You know, when you talk about Coach of the Year candidates, my Bears, when you look at Matt Nagy, he most certainly is going to be a candidate, and understandably so. He deserves it. But you look at somebody like a Bill O'Brien, worst to first, again, deserves some of the buzz and the consideration. But when you look at potential for expectations, like there were actually people like me who expected at least something out of the Bears this year, expected them to be a playoff type of team, expected them to be a divisional champ type of team. Other people thought similar, like me, with the Houston Texans, that they were a playoff type team, that they were going to be a division champ type of team. But who the hell saw an 8-5 season coming for the Seattle Seahawks or a 7-6 season coming from the Indianapolis Colts? Like, no offense to anybody else. Like, even like I look at Adam Gase in Miami, they're 7-6. You think they stink, and they kind of do, but they got a winning record. Like, he deserves some love and consideration here. But my God, look at the Seahawks. Look at the Colts. To me, those are the 2 runaway contenders for Coach of the Year. It's Pete Carroll and it's Frank Reich, and everybody else is battling out for 3rd. I'm sorry, that's the way this feels. I don't know if Pete Carroll's going to get enough love and respect to be that highly thought of as a Coach of the Year type candidate, but he should be. I would assume right now that Frank Reich is going to get most of the love. Understandably so. Deservedly so. But I just don't want Pete Carroll's coaching job to be forgotten here. They got rid of a lot of aged veterans, stars from the past, part of that Legion of Boom defense. And look where they are. 8-5. A lot of other years they'd be leading their division. They just happen to run into the buzzsaw that is the Rams this year. It's crazy. Looking at the teams that go a little bit higher up, it was not the best loss for the Texans against the Colts last week, but the Colts aren't a crappy team, so you can't nail them too much for that. The Dallas Cowboys, another good win. Yes, the Eagles stink. We now know that. But the Cowboys are sitting there 8-5. They've righted the ship. Now you have to debate long term whether this is really the best thing for this organization. It's one of these fool's gold things. Oh, Jason Garrett can finally coach. Maybe, maybe not. But you never know from one season to the next. And right now the Cowboys have a real legit running game. Amari Cooper, so far, it's a key thing, so far, that trade has really worked out very well for them offensively. And they're playing really good defense. The Cowboys are a legit team right now. And a team you probably don't want to play in the NFC playoffs, just like my Chicago Bears. If Mitchell Trubisky could put away some of the sexy Rexy tendencies, this Bears team could really make some noise because their defense is the best defense in the NFC, period. And the Cowboys are probably the second best. Those are the two best defenses. That defense can travel well on the road in a playoff game in January. I have a little more confidence in the Bears defense than I do the Cowboys, but I have much more confidence at current state in the Cowboys running game as opposed to the Bears. But those two teams sitting there at 7 and 6 in the power rankings, they could potentially be a little bit higher. Just saying. The Patriots at 5, that was a dumb loss, fluke loss. They shouldn't be hammered too much for it. I can't put the Bears ahead of them because the Patriots beat the Bears earlier on in the year. That's the only reason why that didn't happen. The Chargers just fly under the radar at number 4. They're 10-3, 10-win season. It's crazy. Phillip Rivers now, he has to step up to the challenge in the offseason. He's got to make baby 10. He's got to. I think it's destined to happen. It must happen. The Chargers are real, and they're legit. And then you look at the top 3 teams, all 11-2, the Rams, the Chiefs, the Saints. What's the tiebreaker here for the Saints? Why are they sitting there at number 1? Well, I think they're a balanced and more complete team than the Chiefs, and they previously beat the Rams. As a result, I look at this, and I'm like, I've got to put them number 1. I've got to put the Rams number 2, even though they looked really, really bad, really, really bad Sunday night. It was still one game, and early on in the year, they beat the Chiefs in that big-time shootout. Now, do those feel like the 3 absolute best teams in the league right now? Do those feel like the 3 teams that you feel like have the best chance for success in a potential Super Bowl? I don't know. I ask you the question. If you had to pick one of those 3 teams right now, Saints, Chiefs, Rams, and you had to put $100 down in Vegas for them to win the Super Bowl, which one of those 3 would it be? I know what my answer would be. I want to hear from you.